Before we dive into today's insightful discussion, I want to share some updates that will enhance your Fempower Health experience. We're excited to launch our new interactive newsletter. This weekly newsletter is packed with the latest scientific findings, business insights, and essential updates in the realm of women's health. Signing up is easy. Just visit our website or click the link in the show notes. Our website is also a comprehensive resource organized by topic for your convenience. Whether you're delving into the latest research, exploring any trends in healthcare, or seeking information in specific health topics, it's all there at your fingertips. Additionally, for our Spotify users, we've created playlists categorized by these topics, offering you another way to stay informed and engaged. And for those listening on Apple Podcasts, while we can't categorize content within the app, our website remains a central hub for all of these resources. And be sure to take advantage of these tools to stay on top of the evolving world of women's health, science, and business. Now let's get started with today's episode. This is Fempower Health. Each week, top women's health experts dispel fact from fiction.
The most important pelvic floor exercise is not the Kegel.
Challenge the status quo.
It's never easy to challenge the accepted leaders, and especially if you're a woman.
Provide perspective on why your healthcare journey may be so tough.
All of that fear and worry, it all upregulates our nervous system, puts us into fight or flight mode, and increases our pain sensitivity.
And what you can do about it.
The number one thing is you have to advocate for yourself, and you have to be prepared.
Your journey to get empowered starts now. This is Fempower Health. Each week, top women's health experts dispel fact from fiction.
The most important pelvic floor exercise is not the Kegel.
Challenge the status quo.
It's never easy to challenge the accepted leaders, and especially if you're a woman.
Provide perspective on why your healthcare journey may be so tough.
All of that fear and worry, it all upregulates our nervous system, puts us into fight or flight mode, and increases our pain sensitivity.
And what you can do about it.
The number one thing is you have to advocate for yourself, and you have to be prepared.
Your journey to get empowered starts now.
I think that the way of the future is that, maybe you go to your doctor and then they give you access to something, a movement online, right? That you can follow, that you can easily kind of check in with, and it's part of your prescription.
We all know that moving our bodies is critical to our health. Our doctors actually often prescribe it, but with the advent of all of these high-intensity specialized workouts, one of the things I know I've seen and experienced is injuries. So today I interview Rachel Katzman and Dr. Amy Hoover from P.volve, and they are revolutionizing the field of movement as medicine. So let's take a listen to what they have to say.
My name's Amy Hoover. I'm a physical therapist, and my specialty is pelvic health, women's health, and that's really where I spent most of my career focusing, as well as just general orthopedics and typical outpatient rehabilitation. And I have my own practice, so I do that part-time, and then I, of course, am on the clinical advisory board at P.volve, and it's a great combination between clinical practice and then getting to do this other amazing thing to help women and join the fitness and healthcare world.
And what about you, Rachel? Tell me about yourself, and I'd love to hear your story as well, please.
So I'm Rachel Katzman. I'm the co-founder at P.volve. And my story, really when I was in my early 20s, I didn't grow up very athletic or really into fitness. So I would say my kind of fitness journey started in my early 20s of just wanting to, take care of my body and kind of lead a healthier lifestyle. And I was in New York City, and it was kind of the time when all of the boutique studios were popping up, and I found myself trying different ones and trying to find what worked for me and my body, and really found, two things. One, I wasn't seeing any of those physical results that I was, searching for. And two, my body was in excruciating pain. And I went to the doctor. I found out I had scoliosis, but like so many of us, I wanted to continue and push through that pain because I was really achieving more of these vanity-based results at the time. And I met my other co-founder, and he really kind of just opened my eyes to this different world of fitness that was more functional and low impact. And it wasn't about how many burpees I could do or how many times I could pulse my leg up and down. And something just clicked with really within me of wanting to understand how my body was meant to move and really, starting to get to know my body better. And very quickly, I not only saw those physical results that I was searching for, but my pain was gone and my back felt more open and I just felt strong and my hips were open. And, I just had this kind of light bulb moment of that when it comes to the really world for women's fitness, there weren't that many options besides these kind of traditional methods and these traditional exercises that we've been doing for, so many years. And after my personal journey and my personal transformation and getting to know a lot of his other female clients, I just was like, oh my God, okay, we have to get this out into the world. And kind of started very small and opened up a small little studio in New York City and just, started growing our community. And I knew that we couldn't scale and we couldn't keep this little secret to ourselves and needed to get it online. And we launched P.volve back in 2017 with our proprietary product line, with our P.volve and our little studio and our streaming platform. And I think, we've really been on an evolution ever since then of just continuing to bring on, very well certified trainers and ultimately, developing our clinical advisory board that we work, Dr. Amy's on and other doctors, and really wanted to work side by side with these doctors and our trainers to develop this amazing content that really can help women through every stage of her life.
I lived in New York City for almost 15 years. And I also did the fitness bandwagon, trying all the different things. And I found injuries as well. In my case, I have hypermobility. I was getting injured left, right, and center because in New York, everything is, on anything times 10. And you'd see people with these heavy weights and whatnot. And so I probably was going with the crowd. And I never did anything that heavy because I could never get that strong. But I noticed doing the smaller exercises and doing them differently and really understanding form was hugely transformative. And I think we don't all consider that and understand it. So I guess tell us what it is about, what P.volve is doing, just so that, the audience can be clear on what exactly it does that makes it different. Because it sounds like using this methodology with your now co-founder, it's really helped you be healthier and has healed a lot of the issues that you were having. So what exactly is different?
I would say, we are really a method that's based on functional movement, and it's really about pairing, low impact moves with our resistance-based equipment and really building total body strength, as well as working on your balance and your stability and your flexibility. We have categories that are everything from strength and sculpt to low impact cardio to recovery content to what we like to call our movement therapy content, everything from lower back strengthening, pelvic floor strengthening, pelvic floor releasing. But no matter what category you're in or what piece of content that you're consuming, it's really all based in those principles of functional movement and moving your body in all planes of motion, external rotation, internal rotation, pelvis articulation, opening up the joints and really just getting your body to kind of move the way that it was designed to move. We really put a lot of emphasis on, no two bodies are the same, and really educating. And the way that our trainers cue and the way that they teach, whether you're in a studio class or you're doing a video online, it's really that education and, sticking within your range of motion, learning what feels good for your body that day. I think a lot of people, oh my God, the trainer's leg is this high, my leg has to be this high. And a lot of the times the trainers are go, 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 more and more and more. And we're really, trying to teach you to just get in tune with yourself, because what I need is different than, Dr. Amy, and different to you. And what I need today is different maybe than what my body needs tomorrow. And I think what's also so beautiful about this method is that it really can change, with you dependent upon what you're going through in life. For me personally, I got diagnosed with Lyme disease almost a year ago. And what my body could do last summer is very different to what it could do this summer. And we really like to think of movement as medicine. When you get to know your body, I think the possibilities are endless. And when you actually feel good in your body, I just think your life is so much better. And we really have content and movement that can really be tailored to you and your individual needs.
Honestly, that's one of the things I'm seeing with the podcast. I mean, I've been interviewing experts on every single topic. And the one theme is when people are looking for answers, the answer is, it depends. It starts with, it depends. And it's really there's certain core foundational things of how our bodies should work, but then the things we do to solve for whatever may be ailing us varies person to person. So Dr. Amy, I'd love to hear from you as someone who specializes in the pelvic floor, because I've interviewed several folks on pelvic floor health, and it's, some of the most popular episodes. So it's clearly something we need. And by the way, I want to give an example. So I've been doing Pilates reformer, and I've really had to go to gentle just because of my hypermobility. And a lot of times the Pilates instructors are saying, okay, let's do a Kegel, like you're trying to hold in, that you need to go to the bathroom. And I'm thinking, well, according to the experts I interviewed, it's a little bit more complicated than that. Like one of the interviewees had told me about how you do the Kegel with the breathing, how it's opposite of what you would think. So there's all these nuances that I don't think everyone is aware of. And so, I'd love to hear from you, Dr. Amy, to talk about these really important nuances to how we exercise and stay healthy without getting on these social media performances that people are doing that may not work for us.
Great question. And I, as Rachel was talking, I thought about how really unique this method is in a way that makes it so customizable per person, right? So, and that really is what sets it apart. It doesn't just say, well, here's what you do and here's how to modify it. It teaches you to understand where your own strengths and weaknesses are, right? Because it's based on, correct biomechanical movement. But as you take a class, they're telling you exactly where you're supposed to feel these activations and, what this specific move is working on. And then they cue you kind of from head to toe what you're supposed to feel. And it really just tunes you into, oh, okay, like, let me focus on that. And can I do that? Like, what am I feeling there? Or is that something I need to, limit my range of motion? And, so it's so great because not only is it, again, customizable, but it gives you such an insight to what's really happening movement wise in your own body. And specifically for pelvic floor. So obviously, since that's my, strong background, I would always see patients that wanted to exercise, they wanted to be active, and they just were running into a wall, right? Whether it be hypertonic pelvic floor and, they couldn't do all this core work, or they were going to really, aggravate their symptoms, or, they didn't want to go into a cardio class because they're leaking. Such specific needs across the board that there was no like one-stop shopping, right? And, or if they went in, they just got overwhelmed, and then, they kind of a lot of them just kind of shut down and just didn't know where to go, right? So, with this method, we really wanted to offer something for that population specifically, because it is such a huge need, as it's not just about Kegels or, just relax or just do Kegels. Like, it's so much more intricate than that. And so our content is really based off of a lot of my experience clinically seeing like what these women need and what was missing in the fitness world, right? So we educate them on breath and how breath connects to the pelvic floor and how the abdominals and how it's part of your core and it's part of a bigger system, and how it's not just, if you're leaking, it may not just be your pelvic floor. You may be holding your breath. You may, be overactive in your abs. Like there's, it again, just tunes you into like all these other reasons and things that might be happening in your body, and then where to, work on those things and how to work on those things. And we have these progressive programs, and some of them, maybe you need to repeat the first couple until you kind of master those and then you move on, right? And we do that a lot with our movement therapy content for all these specific needs. So it's just been really great to have this platform to, give women a safe place to work out, but also educate them. And we do have a lot of educational content as well on our website and on our platform. And, we have Q&As and links, and just, we really believe in educating women about their bodies.
I think one thing too, just on that note, what I've seen as well is that specifically for pelvic floor, and me included, I didn't know prior to working with Dr. Amy that is something that I need to be, working on. It's a muscle, and that I should be strengthening. And how do we help women who maybe aren't experiencing a certain problem, better understand and educate as well. So I think I was in that camp. I'm like, well, I know how to activate my pelvic floor. I can do a Kegel. And then when Dr. Amy really walked me through those steps, I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm doing this right. Wait, I can't activate my pelvic floor. What's going on? And so it's really like breaking it down step by step. So it's been really exciting to see our members kind of engage with all this different content.
What would you say are some of the things that people may do wrong that they don't understand they're doing wrong? I noticed with P.volve, you have products that seem to be very directive with how the body moves. So instead of it being just a ball, there seems to be additional things added to it so that it helps move the body. So I'd love to know what some of those, subtle but important movements people do that they shouldn't.
I believe that injury comes from improper form, right? So knowing how to align your body in a way that it was meant to be moved, So for example, doing a bunch of like drop squats or kettlebell swings, you're just kind of like swinging your body around, right? Like, and doing it maybe as fast as possible because you're looking around and you're seeing other people do it that way. But really what should be happening is you're focusing on quality over quantity, right? I mean, you're supposed to work your body to a point where, yes, you fatigue. The last couple of reps are supposed to be hard, right? But that doesn't mean that it needs to be fast or super heavy resistance. It just means you need to do it with the right muscle activation, right? So you could do 3 really slow, very well aligned squats and be just as good, if not better, than doing 10 kettlebell swings, right? Because you're doing it the right way. So I really think understanding, first of all, like that you're supposed to be using your muscles and not your joints to move, right? Like staying active in your muscles through the whole movement, because so many people, I think, just automatically go into their joints, if that makes sense, where they're just kind of swinging their bodies around without a whole lot of control. So slow, controlled, well aligned, and good form.
I used to think the heaviest weight, the goal is the heaviest weight possible and the most amount of this, that, or the other. And when I cut that out of my life and just focused on, like, I'm actually doing so many things that are gentle. I mean, I've run a marathon, I've done it all. And now I walk, I don't run. I use light weights. I don't think I use anything more than 5 pounds. And I'm 47 and I look better now than when I did in my 30s because I'm just focusing on being healthy. And you're smiling, Rachel. What are you thinking?
I love that. I love that tip. I think also, I love also starting with no equipment. I think the equipment is just such an add-on, right? And it's going to help activate and turn on. But to me, if you can't kind of get your shoulders to roll back, or you don't know how to engage your arms or your glutes with your own body weight, then I think I've seen a lot of times, getting lost and almost letting the equipment be in control over you versus you being in control over the equipment. I also think a lot of times I'm like obsessed with the foot and ankle. I think that's where everything kind of starts from. And I had no idea how tight and kind of wound up my feet and ankles were prior to this. But once you kind of get everything to loosen up and just, be more mobile, your hips, your back, everything. I think all those motions in no matter what class you're taking, I think it really kind of propels you forward to really achieving, all the results that people are looking for.
Now, one of the questions I'd love to touch on, it seems like we have, physical trainers, and then we have our doctors. And I mean, the whole healthcare system is so siloed. So we'll just take this fitness part. But, I don't necessarily see a doctor saying anything more than you should get more exercise, right? And it's really holistic. So what are you guys seeing? I mean, Amy, in your practice?
We just have kind of a backwards model in our medical system, right? We wait until things go wrong and then we treat them. And when it comes to our musculoskeletal and our physical movement health, it's something that really, like you said, is just sort of lacking in prevention, right? Prevention strategies in sort of the mainstream medical system. And so again, like, you're going to come to a PT because something's wrong, right? But how about, what you can do to prevent that from happening, and what can the medical system do? And I think, offering, and we're seeing this a little bit, and even here at P.volve, we are partnering with healthcare on this, but using movement as a benefit, right? A benefit or a prescription. You can go in with a knee strain or, a tendonitis, and they're going to give you anti-inflammatories, and that's going to take the pain away, maybe temporarily, or you get a steroid injection, or, these are the things that we all know can happen when you have an orthopedic injury. But what about what caused that, right? Like, are we even addressing that? No, you're not with medicine. We're not with prescription medicine, which is why we believe that movement is medicine, right? Because it's reparative, restorative, but also preventative. And that's where there's such an opportunity to really be in the forefront of hopefully a change towards prevention and wellness in our healthcare system, offering something to people who may not have access, like you said, just getting them to understand that movement is, meaningful movement is accessible. And also it's something they can learn how to do on their own with some good information and some good guidance, right? Because how many times have you gone to the doctor and they say, well, go do some exercise 3 times a week. And you hear all these like guidelines, but then again, like they just get lost. And we see this a lot as PTs, people asking us where to go in the fitness world, or they go to their fitness instructors and ask them about medical stuff, right? We see that quite a bit. So, it is obviously a big gap, and that's what we're trying to fill there. And I think that the way of the future is that maybe you go to your doctor and then they give you access to something, a movement online, right? That you can follow, that you can easily kind of check in with, and it's part of your prescription.
Now, you were alluding to the healthcare system and having some collaborations. Tell us about that, because, I'd love to hear more about it, because it could be something that those who are working in the fitness space, or even companies who are looking for supporting employees and things like that, could learn. So what is this partnership that you guys are doing right now?
So we are, partnering with an insurance company that is launching in January, which we're so excited about, that is really going to just open up and really give, free access to P.volve if you're with that provider. We also have partnered with, Ovia Healthcare, who is a pre and postnatal app, and we've developed some exclusive postnatal content for them. We also have discounts for students, first responders, seniors, and we really feel, like Dr. Amy said, like this is, a movement. And yes, we want to be at the forefront, but we really feel that we are stronger, with these other partners who are really kind of helping bring this movement forward of really bridging the gap between fitness and healthcare.
I'm noticing that so many companies now are starting to work with employers and insurance companies to really give more access to people. And it's critical because the way the system has been run is so siloed. Now, I will say it's going to be interesting to see how long-term things evolve, because there's so many wonderful products that are being developed. So how do we make that not feel like overwhelming and siloed? But it's great to see that you've had positive reception, because health and fitness is also part of health. It's not just about, the typical way of you're sick or just get your annual. It's so much more than that.
Yeah. And I think, during COVID, a lot of us just realized how important our health is, right? Because if without that, what really do you have? And I think it really kind of accelerated not only these insurance companies, but these other bigger companies wanting to, have more of these fitness, health-centric benefits to offer. We've been really excited about a lot of the, partnerships we've already launched with and all of the ones upcoming for 2022.
Fempower Health is pleased to partner with the upcoming Femtech and Consumer Innovation Summit. The summit is the latest deep dive event, part of the Women's Health Innovation Series, looking to tackle this growing sector of women's health, having had continental success in driving innovation, investment, research, and partnerships in traditional women's healthcare by bringing together critical stakeholders. Join us in New York on June 7th and 8th as we channel this success into the consumer sector of women's health. Visit www.femtechconsumerinnovation.com to view the superstar speaker lineup and enter code FEMPOWER15 for 15% off your ticket. Hope to see you there.
The other thing that we're really proud of is that we are involved in clinical trials, and we're finishing up one, we're, in the middle of another, and in a discussion about a third. And, that's another thing that's really important, being credible in the healthcare world too, right? Is being able to scientifically back what we're doing. And our method is based in science. It's based in research and proven, exercise science, but, we're specifically testing this type of exercise and fitness method and, seeing really amazing results initially in our clinical trials. And we know that that is important in healthcare. Obviously, our healthcare system is based on science and evidence-based practice.
Rachel, you've taken your story and realized that, we need the science behind it, because working out is important, but one can be injured.
Yeah. And, we always say too, the vanity side, that's kind of table stakes, right? If I am going to move my body, but fitness needs to be, and it should be so much more, and it should be giving me all these, more benefits to really improve my life today, tomorrow, and really for the future.
Thank you for sharing your story about, Lyme's disease as well, and how that changed how you're working out? Because, it is true. Like I can imagine the frustration that you may have felt. So I guess tell us how you got through that. And because it seems like you were accepting of, okay, well, I guess the way I'm working out now is different. So how did you get through that?
I'm very type A. Can't get out of my own head. So it's hard for me. But during this time, I really kind of prioritize that. And so we've just recently launched meditation on the app. I've connected to a lot of other community members that have other autoimmune diseases, and just what do you want to see on the platform? What's feeling good for you? And just continue to really learn my body in a new way and what it was asking for during that time, and just celebrating the little wins and really changing the word workout to movement.
So since you are talking to the community, what would you say is probably one of the most surprising things that you've heard, whether, I don't know, surprising, most common, whatever it is you want to share? I'd be curious what they have to say.
I have some examples. I can share some quotes. I think the common thread that no matter who we talk to, what age, fitness background, what goal they're achieving, it's that this method and these moves, it just feels good. I think when it comes to, some of our specific specialty content, we did release a cycle syncing program that was all how to optimize your body during your menstrual cycle through mind, movement, and meals. I think some of those kind of testimonials were just fantastic. Everything from these workouts themselves are amazing, the most useful for cramps. The most unexpected result was seeing how improved my energy levels were, not having to take ibuprofen for the first time in 20 years during their cycle. For our knee stability series, it was very valuable and made me aware of things that I was doing that put extra strain on my knees, and now pay more attention to what my knees are doing during a workout. 99% of people feel more confident in their daily activities, those people who do have knee injuries and sensitivities. So I think through this content, just educating people so that when they are, hiking or walking or playing with their grandkids or doing outside activities, they feel more in control of their body and more aware, and just feeling good and living their best life.
That's awesome. No, those are incredible testimonials and really concrete examples of just how important the right way to exercise is critical to our health. What would you say are maybe the top 3 tips, or maybe a top tip that people should be aware of when they exercise?
Probably the biggest one that comes to my mind is thinking about what you're doing and how is this going to translate into moving for the rest of my day? How is this going to influence that? I always tell my patients, exercise is only 1% of your day. But it's really the other 99% that makes the biggest impact. So what you want to be aware of is when you're working out, is this serving you for the rest of that 99%, right? Is that going to help you move better during the rest of your day? Or are you going to be hobbling around because you overdid it, right? And then creating worse muscle patterns, right? So like connecting with your body during exercise, and it's almost like meditative in a way, even though you're moving, you're in your body, you're really feeling what it's doing. And, I think a lot of people, like I'm a runner as well, right? So I think you have to ask yourself what your goal is for your workout. And is that going to serve you in the rest of your day moving forward? And how? And, are you going to feel better, or are you going to feel like you're depleted? Or, it should energize you. It should make you feel accomplished, empowered. So ask yourself those questions when you're working out.
So anything else that you guys wanted to talk about that maybe I didn't ask about?
My only thing is, I think when we're discussing fitness, maybe you have some listeners that aren't into fitness, right? Or maybe they don't know where to start or are intimidated. And I like to tell my patients, like, if you want to be able to move, you have to move, and like that starts from a very young age and all the way through your whole life. Like, one of the hardest things I think about aging is losing independence, and specifically like physical abilities and things like that. If you're just starting out, like, I promise you, you can do it, right? And there's something for everybody. There's a movement for everybody.
Absolutely. And I will just add my own thoughts. Just because your friend is doing it doesn't mean you have to do it, right? It's all about what works for you. And I think we've kind of said that in many different ways. Okay. So last question. I used to ask, what is your greatest hope for women's health? But I've changed it up. What is a interesting fact about yourself?
Well, this one is really easy for me. I own 3 horses and I compete in equestrian events. And that's like my happy place.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like my other world that I live in.
Gosh, so. That is amazing. You know, I love horses, but when I was young in my first summer camp, I got thrown off a horse. Yeah. And I've done a couple of those vacation things, but like one time we were in Mexico and there was this, like those RVs or whatever driving by on the beach with the horses. I'm like, I'm so scared of horses. Like, what is going on with me and horses? But the theory of it sounds great. So good for you. Rachel, what about you?
An interesting fact about me. I don't know if it's not as good as Dr. Amy's, but I mean, I love cooking. Like, cooking's my hobby. And that's like my happy place. I think when I'm actually feeling very like stressed and overwhelmed at work, if I just immediately go and start like chopping, it just totally zens and like calms me. And the only time I don't actually look at my phone, if I'm like prepping all my food. And like, to me, there's nothing better than going to like a local farm and picking out all my good produce and coming home and like washing it and chopping it and getting it ready and making something really yummy and delicious.
Oh, so it sounds like you're not a recipe follower. Do you invent stuff?
Yes. I mean, I definitely get inspo. Like, I'll go on Instagram and me and my friends send each other, but I put my spin on it. And definitely, with my Lyme diagnosis, kind of what I can tolerate now is a little bit different. So I've had to be very creative on how to kind of be very simple, but still make it very fun and delicious and yummy. So I love just playing and trying, and I love it.
Well, I want to add a recipe to your list because I love acorn squash, but I never know what to do with it. I made an acorn squash coconut curry with chicken. Heaven. Yum. Do it. Well, thank you again so much for, again, I love talking to women who take a struggle that they've had and now do something and spread it to others. And I also really appreciate that you guys are looking at the science to really make sure that people are effectively exercising, but also partnering with, insurance companies and others who are working in women's health. Thank you again so much for sharing your stories.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been great.
Thank you for tuning in to this discussion on the Fempower Health podcast. You can refer to the show notes for links to information that is referred to in this episode. And if you like this episode and found it timely and valuable, please take a moment to tell a friend or a colleague about Fempower Health. And right after this episode is over, please think of one person who might find this episode helpful and tell them about it. And if your friend is new to podcasting, please show them how to subscribe to our show. And another way to support Fempower Health podcast is to leave a review where you listen to podcasts. And as a reminder, the information shared by Fempower Health is not medical advice, but for information purposes to enable you to have more effective conversations with your doctor. Always talk to your doctor before making health-related decisions. Additionally, the views expressed by the Fempower Health podcast guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. See you next week. Thank you for joining us on another enlightening episode of Fempower Health. No matter where you are in your journey, our website is brimming with content tailored to your specific topic of interest or life stage. Dive in and discover the resources and insights waiting for you. Your voice matters to us, and if you found value in this episode, please take a moment to write a review. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but it also helps others discover our podcast. By spreading the word, you're empowering women everywhere with the information they need to navigate their unique health journeys. And if this episode resonated with you, please don't keep it a secret. Share it with friends, loved ones, or anyone you believe would benefit from the information. Together, we can create a world where every woman feels supported, informed, and empowered. Remember, knowledge is power, and Fempower Health is here to guide you and support you in every step of the way. And as a reminder, the information shared by Fempower Health is not medical advice, but for informational purposes to enable you to have more effective conversations with your doctor. Always talk to your doctor before making health-related decisions. Additionally, the views expressed by the Fempower Health podcast guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Until next time.